Welcome to the Football Podcast. This is your host, Mr. Number 9.
And this is The Fool.
Hello, everyone. We are banging out the hits, as they say. And we are here to talk about football and football only. And we haven't been talking about any other sport whatsoever tonight, have we?
No. This is own recording, own podcast. Fully on the EPL and everything.
About the EPL and everything. Now, we are basically down to the final 2 games for almost every team this season.
In fact, for every team this season.
Yeah, and I believe a lot of the business end has been done. We've got our 3 relegation strugglers. I was wrong about Fulham. I wanted to be right. But in the end, Brighton, Newcastle, and Burnley were just too experienced.
Yeah. I think I picked it, so I'm feeling happy. I think I've picked that since Christmas. That's been my 3.
Yep. But I think Fulham did well from the position they were in. And even Sheffield United, I think, from the position they were in, have done relatively well.
I mean, Fulham almost did it for a bit there. They were looking like they were going to pull it off, and then it just stumbled at the end. As you say, Newcastle, Brighton, Burnley, just too much experience in how to stay up, I guess. And just
Exactly right. So, of these 3 teams, what do we think about their chances of coming back? How are they going to do in the Championship next season?
Sheffield United could be the interesting one. It's going to be a lot of how the team takes it, because this has been a pretty poor season for them.
I think also firing or at least their manager resigning was a bad result, because I think he was really good.
Yeah. This last season they were quite good, so I could see them bouncing back, but I could also see them taking a big morale hit and sort of floundering for a season or 2 before they right the ship again and come back up.
Yeah. I feel like Fulham might come straight back up just because they have the money.
Yeah, they do have the money. I sort of felt their results this year were not the best in terms of they sort of looked like it and they got streaks going but sort of didn't really push it all, so
I think they also have enough money to keep their young players.
So
one of the reasons, it's interesting because I've been looking a bit further into the teams that are promotion hunt from the Championship. Also, I think West Brom are just going to pop straight back up. I think West Brom are like a quintessential yo-yo club. They know what they're doing. And I think they also take into account they're going to have a few relegations. If they can spend 2 or 3 years in the Premiership and get, that's kind of how they work their plans.
Yeah. Getting relegated is not a massive dent in their plans.
Yes.
That's an acceptable part of it.
Yeah, I think so too.
For the longer term game.
Yeah, I think at the end, though, they have to be careful because Villa were relegated and it took them 4 years to get back. I think we were all expecting Villa to come straight back up.
Yeah.
When they did get relegated, so nobody can take it for granted.
No, the Championship is still reasonably competitive.
It's a competitive league. It's cutthroat as hell, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. It doesn't take a lot to slip.
It doesn't take a lot to slip. So I would not take it for granted that Fulham and West Brom would come back, but I feel like of the 2, Fulham is more likely to come back just because they have the money.
That does make a big difference.
But I also think West Brom will do it just because they have the experience at the Championship level. Even if they just make a playoff spot, I think they're very canny at getting through. Now, of the teams about to be promoted, Norwich comes storming straight back.
Yeah.
As nobody expected. Everybody thought they were just going to be relegated because they had a really terrible camp. But they love it. I love the way Norwich play. Let me just put that aside. They attack, they defense. What defense? I mean, it's naive as hell, but it's entertaining to watch.
Oh, definitely.
They're straight back in. Maybe they'll go straight back down. Maybe they'll have learned something and manage to stay up this time. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
I wouldn't put it past them. Timo Pukki, they knew that they were getting a lot of shots on target and a lot of assists, but Timo Pukki was their only scorer, and they've kind of fixed that. If they can get one or two maybe good defenders and maybe another attacking player, that could probably put them over to maybe even mid-table next season. We'll see.
I do see that they've second best goals for in the championship and the second best, defense goals against.
Yep.
So that's probably a good sign. I know it's the championship, and but I think that's better than the record they had last time they came up.
And they stuck with their previous manager who got them promoted and relegated. So I think at least there's some continuity. So I'm kind of optimistic for Norwich. Also for Watford, I think they had a terrible campaign last season, especially after losing the FA Cup to City. They just seem to have not recovered, but they have a good ownership group. I'm sure they're a bit trigger happy, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Udinese is consistently punching above their weight, and I think Watford can go straight back up and maintain staying in the Premiership again for a few seasons, if not for a long term. They're basically a London-based club. They have fanatical support. Their stadium sells out. Well run. They've got all the ingredients, but the Premiership is super competitive.
Yeah. It's the next level of cutthroatness, really.
Yep. So, of the remaining four looking to get promoted, Bournemouth make it straight back into the playoffs. Amazing.
Yeah.
What a great result for them. And Jonathan Woodgate, of all people, redeeming himself in the managerial side of things and getting them to the playoffs.
Good work.
Then we've also got the two Moneyball clubs, Brentford and Barnsley, and we've got Swansea City.
Yeah.
So Barnsley and Brentford are famous basically for being the most analytics-driven clubs in the Championship. Brentford literally has the smallest budget of any club in the Championship, but they made the most amount of money from net transfers.
Wow.
So that tells you how well run they are.
Yeah.
Their owner is a professional gambler who runs an analytics website for gamblers to take advice from.
Oh, nice.
And he uses that nous to get the results for Brentford. It's very interesting. Brentford used to have a pretty good academy. They got rid of their academy players and youth system and basically just made a B team.
Oh, yeah?
Because basically all their good players were getting taken away for 30,000, 18,000 transfers.
Right, yeah.
Because they're in London, and any good players are just going to be scouted by Chelsea, Fulham, West Ham, Spurs, Arsenal. We know the story. And they're right in London. They don't have to worry about, at least if a good player somewhere, say Newcastle, it has to be within 10 miles, I think, of where they're based. So they can't just go to London.
All right.
That's not, it's against FIFA regulations, but Brentford are in London, so they don't have that same luxury. So they buy young players and they put them straight into their B team, and there's a system of rotating them into the first team because they know they have to sell players to stay relevant.
Yeah.
Or at least stay solvent. They lost their first leg against Bournemouth away at the Vitality Stadium.
Yeah.
But they could win. I think that was a good performance by Bournemouth, but 2,000 people at their stadium. Bournemouth Stadium hosts about 5,000 people. It was crazy that they managed to stay in the Premiership for as long as they did.
Yeah. They're not a very big club.
Testament to Eddie Howe's managerial skills and the people in charge of Bournemouth FC running it.
Yeah.
And I think, to be fair, 5,000 is basically 1/3 of Bournemouth. And they sell out every game. So that's incredible as well.
I know. It is crazy how well they do given the size of the club.
Yeah. And Bournemouth are one of the best clubs, best stadiums apparently to visit, because away fans keep having pictures of them trolling the home fans because they sit where the home fans are meant to sit in their opposing team gear, and they don't get harassed or are in danger.
Oh, that's actually really nice.
So that's the sort of club Bournemouth are.
Yeah.
I would absolutely be delighted for them if they came back to the Premiership, but it would be
Definitely.
interesting to see Brentford in the Premiership too. So I'm happy with either result, to be fair on that one. The other analytics-based club is Barnsley. Barnsley FC have an interesting system as well. They're owned by a new ownership group who took them over, and they also own a Pacific Media Group. That's who they are. Who include Billy Bean of Moneyball fame as one of their owners. Basically, they own a bunch of clubs all around Europe, really. They own a club in Switzerland, Denmark, and Belgium, and a few others. They own FC Midtjylland in Denmark, who are the current champions.
Oh.
Of Danish football. So they broke the long monopoly of FC Copenhagen.
Oh, yeah.
So they know what they're doing. They're basically Barnsley. They were relegated to League One a few years ago, a couple of seasons ago, and they came straight back, and then they got to the playoffs this season.
Which is good.
Sheffield United going down. If Barnsley gets promoted, that's going to be another local rival for Leeds to go up against.
Nice.
Because they're another Yorkshire club.
Though it's not looking as likely for Barnsley, since they're still just a 1-0 aggregate, but that was played at Barnsley, so Swansea's got the away goal heading home.
I don't believe away goals are a thing in these playoffs.
Ah.
So if it's a tie, they go to penalties or extra time.
All right.
I believe that's the case. So that's why I'm not too fussed about away goals, because it's still like a knockout. A goal is a goal.
A goal is goal. Yeah.
So they basically have this style of football, which is they do the Gegenpress. They specifically only buy players and managers who do Gegenpress style play, and all their clubs play in that particular way because they've just basically gone, this is the most entertaining and gets the most punters through the seats.
Yeah.
Gets you good statistics that people look for, so they can sell on those players again onto richer clubs for decent money.
Yeah.
Two interesting and completely opposite approaches to analytics. Like Barnsley has a good youth system that's quite well renowned. Players like John Stones came through their system.
All right, yeah.
And things like that. So, and they've basically been effectively a feeder club to a lot of to Aston Villa for the last 2 or 3 years, but it's made them money.
Yeah.
And the fourth club here is Swansea City. After a couple of years hiatus, I want to say, from the Premiership.
3, maybe 4.
3-year hiatus. Swansea City are back in the playoffs. Absolutely. I think a really good ownership group as well. They're probably gonna do well if they come into the Premiership. I think they can probably maintain their status as a Premiership club. But I think, I guess this weird feeling. I feel like Bournemouth might sneak away with winning against Brentford.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to have Barnsley return to the Premiership this season, which would be 20 years. 20 years since their last time they were in the Premiership, I believe, in the 2001 season. But if Brentford were to make it, it would be the first time they're in the Premiership. I think the first time they'd ever be in the top division, so that would be interesting as well. So
that would be interesting. That's actually something useful to cheer for, actually, because having a new team in the top flight is always an interesting thing.
Yeah, I agree. But it's the thing, right? Swansea is representing Wales. There isn't a Welsh club at the moment in the Premiership, and Barnsley, if they get promoted, there'll be a second Yorkshire club along with Leeds, and they haven't been there for 20 years, for a long time. AFC Bournemouth, like the smallest club to ever go to the Premiership, to come back. That would be amazing too. So they all have like their cool stories. Yeah, look forward to seeing which of them manage to come back to it. But
yeah.
Prediction time. Who do you like?
For the playoffs? I have to say,
I'm feeling Bournemouth.
Yeah.
So I'm going with them.
I'm feeling Bournemouth as well. I mean, I like Brentford, but I think Bournemouth, they've been there as well. I feel that they're the better side.
Yeah.
So I think Bournemouth will hold their advantage, and I actually think Swansea will as well. I think
Yeah.
like both these teams are good teams.
Yeah.
They've been through this before, and they've got the advantage. I feel that makes a bigger difference, especially with Swansea. I know the away goals is not counting, but they are going home with their lead.
Yeah, and they're going to Wales.
Yeah, going back to Wales home, they'll have the crowd. Well, as much of a crowd as they're allowed, but
Yeah.
it's that's going to be a deciding factor in that one.
Yeah. Yep.
And I just feel that with Brentford and Bournemouth, that Bournemouth just. That said, a little bit taking that back, because Brentford did qualify third, and Bournemouth was sixth. So
Yeah.
I might walk that bit a bit, but that means Brentford's had a very stellar season. In fact, they were only 4 points off Watford. So, and actually, I take that all back. I think Brentford's going to go because whilst they may have stumbled here, they have won four of their last 5 games in the Championship to storm up to the position they were in. So,
yeah,
unlike Bournemouth, who lost their last 3. So,
that's true.
Looking at the stats, I have to moneyball it, man, and since it's Brentford.
Fair enough. So you're going to go with the Moneyball club, so do you like Brentford to go all the way as well?
Yeah, they've... I mean, it's going to be Brentford-Swansea, so... Yeah, actually, no, because it's going to be at Wembley and everything, so I think, Brentford are going to... I'm going to predict Brentford are going all the way.
Cool. I like it. Like I said, I feel AFC Bournemouth because they've been here before. They've been the 6th place team. They've managed to get through to all the way to the playoffs and win. But I wouldn't be surprised with any of these 4. There's no upsets here. I think they're all well capable.
Yeah. I mean, they all finished fairly close to each other. And it's what Brentford was 87 points down to Bournemouth 77, so it's a 10-point spread. But it is over 46 games over the championship season, so you expect a little bit of spread. But that's it's only 3 and a bit games, so no difference
Absolutely.
over that. That's not a huge difference, especially since it was 7 points from Bournemouth to Reading, so that's from 6th to 7th.
Just a quick tip for our listeners. I like Reading for next season, so if you're looking for a team to bet on to get promoted next season, I think the Royals are a good shout.
Reading's always a good shout, I think. I see QPR went too far off as well. They always got a soft spot for them, really. The only sad thing I look at that is my Sheffield team, Sheffield Wednesday, going down.
Got relegated to
They got relegated. They were apparently
both Sheffield teams get relegated this season.
Yeah, pretty much. And both of them, I mean, Sheffield Wednesday wasn't quite as horrendously behind as Sheffield United, but still doesn't look like they were going to be doing much.
Now, going from relegation and promotion to the upper end of the table, Manchester City, champions. Well deserved, I think. We called it in Christmas, I think.
Yes.
So they've made it to they've made it to the Champions League final, so well done them.
Yeah. And to be fair, whilst our initial predictions was City and Liverpool to be the top 2, and so I think we can claim 50% success there.
Yep. Manchester United are second at the moment, and I think they will finish second. Just
Seems
looking
likely.
at the schedule coming up for them, they've got Fulham, and they just, I think, need a point from that game to basically confirm second.
They're 4 points ahead of Leicester.
I think, if they get a point from that game, they've confirmed an automatic Champions League spot in the group stage, that is, because obviously 4th place has to go in the qualifiers.
Yeah, a point, yeah.
A point will guarantee them, and a win will basically guarantee them second place.
A win will definitely guarantee them second place, no matter what Leicester does. A point requires Leicester to win, and probably still win reasonably well, because that would put Leicester would put them 2 points behind with 1 game to go, but their goal differential is a bit off. So
technically, Chelsea could still finish second if they win their next 2 games and Leicester and Manchester United lose both their games. It's unlikely, but still doable. And more doable because Chelsea play Leicester in their next game after revenge match for the FA Cup final. Maybe. Who knows? Yeah, so that's how it looks. Southampton are in the playing Leeds as well. I think Leeds are going to win that game. I think they're going to finish in the top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, get that good top 10 money. Brighton and Hove Albion, Manchester City. Brighton are not relegated. I think Manchester City are going to save some of their powder for the Champions League.
Yeah.
But I think the Manchester United B side are still going to beat Brighton because, quite frankly, they want to show that they deserve to be in the team and they deserve to start. So Brighton, yeah, sorry, bud. I know you guys are at home, but I think City are going to win that game. I do think Manchester United are going to beat Fulham. By the way, I merely did the math here. I think Manchester United are going to confirm second.
I'm hopeful that Chelsea, or very hopeful that Chelsea will beat Leicester and revenge the FA Cup.
I think that's the thing. That is the third and fourth place playoff game, right? Effectively.
It is almost effectively from Chelsea. Like, we need that to ensure we have Champions, League next year.
And that game ending in a draw really helps Liverpool, if that were to happen.
Well, a draw definitely helps Liverpool. But
draw helps Liverpool because if either of them win, Liverpool fall further back in the pace. Now, Liverpool have a game against Crystal Palace at home and away at Burnley. I think winning away at Burnley is tough, and I think Burnley still want to, yes, they're safe, absolutely, but I think they're going to still try to win their games.
Burnley's a club that doesn't give up, right? They're always wanting to show what they've got, that they belong here, so they want to put it. And going to Burnley is a tough proposition for anyone.
Yeah. That being said, I do think Liverpool will win that game because they need to win that game to get to the Champions League.
Actually, the Chelsea, whilst a draw with Chelsea, Leicester is probably best for them. It doesn't really matter because as long as they win, they'll get to 66 points with this next game, which equals Leicester. So if Leicester loses, they get equal on points with them. If Chelsea loses, then they're ahead. And you say the last two games for Liverpool are easily winnable. So that's 6 whole points to get to 69 points total. So it takes a bit of...
If Leicester draw and they win, because Leicester can afford a draw against Chelsea, I believe, because their last...
More so than Chelsea can afford it.
Yes. But then they have to beat Spurs. Spurs still within a mathematical chance of qualifying for the Champions League, I believe.
Maybe very mathematical.
But this would basically mean Leicester and Chelsea draw, and both lose their games, and Liverpool lose their games, and Spurs win all their games. Now, Spurs get to face Leicester, so that's a 6-pointer game.
And Tottenham needs Chelsea to lose both their games and Liverpool to lose both their games. Because they get to 65.
Yes, that's true. Sorry. Yes. Yeah, then they get to 65, and then they get ahead of Chelsea.
Technically, West Ham, there's still a mathematical chance as well, since they're on 59 points as well.
We don't know if Manchester City, Manchester United, and Chelsea, and Liverpool, and Spurs are going to get any further punishments from the Premier League. If there are points deductions, which would effectively mean they do not get to, apart from Manchester City or Chelsea, if they win, whoever of them wins the Champions League, but even that might not happen. UEFA might agree to tell them, nope, you have to, at a bare minimum, have no European football for a season. In that case, we would have Leicester champions again. The West Ham, Everton, and Arsenal qualifying for the Champions League.
Look, if the rest of them are getting points deducted, Arsenal's getting points deducted too.
True. No, fair enough. No, you're right. Arsenal are also getting the Leeds, yes. Qualifying for the first Champions League appearance since 2002, which would be incredible, in my opinion.
It would almost make up for the heartbreak of all of that.
The flip side of this, which you will love, by the way, is if they do this, they will have to do this to the Italian clubs. And there's more of a case to do it for the Italian clubs.
Super League.
Because both Juve and AC Milan are still technically in the Super League. But if Juve and AC Milan and Inter get points deducted, then AS Roma with Mourinho in charge get to the Champions League.
Mourinho.
And Mourinho will, of course, claim all the credit.
Jose Mourinho. He'll do it. He's the chosen one. Somehow he gets it.
I know. But Come on, don't you love it? Like that's just that's just
That would be
amazing.
amazing.
The hilarity of it alone is why I almost want that to happen.
Oh, yes. I sort of do want that to happen.
I'm sure Barcelona and Real Madrid are gonna get bans from the Champions League. As much as Fiorentino Perez is saying that's not gonna happen.
No. As you say, the ones that are still in the Super League, which is the Italian clubs and the Spanish clubs, like seems likely that they will get some sort of punishment since they're still in it. The teams that left could be interesting, given that they're now left. They may skip them, but
giving them a points deduction now and saying you're not allowed for next season is one thing. I think these other clubs may get like a 2 or 3 year ban from the UEFA Champions League. So if that were to happen, if there are points deductions in the Spanish league as well, then Sevilla become champions. I believe this would be their first title. Don't quote me on that. Real Sociedad, Real Betis, and Villarreal all make it to the Champions League. Villarreal after, once again, 2002, 2006, I think, when they were last year, back in the day when they had Juan Roman Riquelme play for them. And Diego Forlan. Real Betis, I don't think have been in the Champions League since the days of Denilson in the 98 World Cup. Who could forget those dribbling skills? And Real Sociedad, I think this might even be their first time in the Champions League, but once again, don't quote me on that.
I feel like they've been in it before, but maybe not.
I think you're right.
I feel like they have been at least once before.
But yes, would you, as a Chelsea fan, be okay with there being points deductions?
As a Chelsea fan, no.
Like, sure, they give you the title that if you beat Manchester City in the Champions League, they go, yep, you are the champions, you're just not allowed to defend it. You're not in next season.
Yeah, so from a fan perspective, no. I'm not going to be upset. I'm going to be very upset with that, if that, in any way, that happens. Especially since I like to feel a little bit morally superior with the fact that Chelsea pulled out fairly early.
Yeah, as Chelsea and Manchester City both pulled out really early. And I think both are not the ringleaders.
So feel a little harsh done by, but from a more practical, pragmatic point of view, it sort of makes sense that you've got to, that UEFA, the FA, have got to, even FIFA, have got to do something to, if they're going to clamp down on this, to actually show punishment for the clubs that joined in. And it's got to be severe enough that they won't just try it again in 6 months, 12 months, 24 months time, whatever it is. Like, they can't. They have to do something to ensure that it goes away as much as they can. Which they're sort of doing as well with the reforms which we talked about. I know I'm with you that I feel like that's perhaps not going to help and they need better reforms, but hey, that's what they've got. So they'll need to do some sort of punishment. As a fan, I'm hopeful that the clubs that have pulled out have enough sway that perhaps they get away with some.
I think the other side of it is Chelsea and Manchester City, you're not really financially punishing them by banning them from Europe. And heck, City was supposed to be banned from Europe anyway until the whole CAS debacle. But if Chelsea and Manchester City and Chelsea can afford to spend a season outside of Europe, they will. Both of those teams are going to finish first and second next season, unless everybody else is punished as well. In which case, it's going to be, I think, a return to the top six because they don't have European football to worry about. They're just gonna, except maybe Leicester, who I think their owner will actually, after the FA Cup win, which I think because it was dedicated to his father who passed away last season, and everyone at the club I think the ownership at Leicester City do back them and are going to give Brendan Rodgers the money he needs to, if they qualify for the Champions League especially, to go far.
No, that's definitely going to happen.
I do think Leicester are going to qualify. I think they're going to beat Spurs, so that's going to guarantee them because a win, I think, also guarantees it for Leicester. I do think Chelsea game could go either way, 50-50. But I'm picking a draw there, and I think they will beat Spurs and basically guarantee their Champions League spot.
Yeah, that seems likely. Say they're on 66 points. They've just got to get to 69. Oh no, they're both. No, I take that back. Leicester and Liverpool are on the same goal differential. So it's they need to win.
Because a draw and a win gets them to 70 points, and Liverpool can at most get to
So
69. So
a draw and
70
a win
points
does it
will get them.
for Leicester.
Whereas Chelsea, I think a draw and a win doesn't quite get it for them.
Guarantee it.
But I think they're going to beat 2 wins to guarantee it. I do think they're going to beat Villa. But that's the thing. They have a tough game ahead. Because it's almost fighting for they're basically fighting for their future. I think Liverpool have winnable games. But I'm going to call it. I think it's going to be a draw between Chelsea and Leicester. And I think Liverpool are going to drop points. They've just got a bit too many injuries in their defense. I think Chelsea will just sneak through, maybe even on goal difference in the end. But that's the feeling I'm getting. I think Leicester will make it after getting a point and winning their last game. And, Spurs are going to do Spursy things.
Yeah.
Speaking of Spursy things, Mauricio Pochettino taking over PSG, and PSG finally not winning Ligue 1. That's pretty Spursy, I think.
Spursy. Oh, dear.
I like Mauricio. I think he's a good dude and a good manager and all those things. But, yeah, that's pretty Spursy.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, PSG.
I find that hilarious. But I think Liverpool are going to finish 5th. I think they're going to finish ahead of Spurs. Yeah. So I think Liverpool and Spurs are going to... I think Spurs are going to lose to Leicester. But they're going to beat Villa.
That sounds about right. That sounds very Spursy as well. It means they've kept the hope alive and then fall at the last quarter.
Actually, I changed my mind. I think West Ham are going to beat West Bromwich Albion, and they're going to beat Southampton. And I think Spurs are going to lose to Leicester, and they're going to beat Villa, but that's not going to be enough. And I think West Ham are going to take that second Europa League. They're going to take a Europa League spot with Liverpool, whether that's 5th or 6th. I don't know.
They do have those easy, quotation marks here, but easier games. So.
And I actually have a weird feeling that Spurs are going to really Spurs it. I think Everton might beat Manchester City because they have because Manchester City have basically won and they're going to rest players, as we've established. And this is on the week of the Champions League final, so that game is definitely where they're going to rest players. The week before, at least the tomorrow, Manchester City players want to be on show that they want to play in that final. Exactly. Then you've got Everton are also playing Wolves, so I think Everton are going to win those last 2 games they've got, beat Wolves, and they probably maybe even beat City. So I'm feeling like they're going to finish 7th with Spurs finishing 8th, just above Arsenal. Wow. That's my controversial prediction. But I do think Arsenal are going to finish below Spurs, so no St. Tottenham's Day this season either.
Yeah, I think that's fairly safe bet. Yeah, I mean, Arsenal have had a reasonable end to their season to give them hope for next year, but I don't think they'll overhaul Spurs. I don't think Spurs can Spurs it up that much. I think much more spectacular Spurs effort than Spurs will manage. But Spurs have also had a reasonable end to the season. I actually think they will keep a bit of the pressure on and will probably keep 6th. I mean, you're right, West Ham does have 2 easier games, but West Ham's form has been not the best.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's they've been losing to teams they probably should. I mean, they drew Brighton, lost to Everton. It's not a particularly easy game, but at the same point, that was at home for them. They beat Burnley. They lost to us at home. Lost to Newcastle. Beat Leicester. But yeah, that was the end of their previous good things. But yeah, the last was that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. Only really Burnley any great effort. So.
But this is there's the London standings to
Yeah.
bragging rights for
There is
grabs,
that.
right?
So
So if West Ham can finish above Spurs, I think it'll be the first time since the 1999 season that they've come
yeah.
second for London.
Mm.
And it's the first time I think both the two London clubs would not be one of the top two London
Yeah.
clubs. That's just my weird controversial prediction. So you think Spurs will basically finish sixth, after Liverpool fifth, and we've got West Ham getting that ECL. I feel like West Ham doing the ECL that's what the ECL's
Yeah.
for. I think they're going to be competitive, and I think maybe even favorites to
Yeah.
win. But
They seem the right team for that
they're not
competition.
extremely better than everyone else in
No.
that competition.
But my prediction is basically that there won't be too much change in the order. Or maybe the change is fourth and third. So Chelsea managed to just sneak above Leicester. So if we get 6 points, that's 70. They'll end on 69. Liverpool ends on 69 as well, but loses out due to goal differential or something.
Also, if Chelsea do finish fifth, that just means they're more motivated to win the Champions League final, right? That would get 5 teams in, which is also possible. So Chelsea coming fifth is they have a second chance saloon.
Exactly.
There's like Manchester United basically need a point to guarantee at least fourth. I think, or at least third, or what I meant to say, because I think they're guaranteed at least fourth anyway.
Yeah, well, Liverpool can only get this.
But they also have
69,
last chance saloon. If they beat Villarreal, then they're in the
Yeah.
Champions League.
I think that does add a little bit to it. Having the second chance, having that out helps. But that said, like for Chelsea, that's a very hard
I
out.
do think Chelsea can beat City in that game.
On the day we can beat them. But at the same time, I wouldn't want to be relying on that to get there. Like,
hell no.
That's it might be a second chance saloon, but it's a very difficult second chance. And so
Yes.
much prefer that we just do it the old-fashioned way and finish fourth or third.
But Tuchel has back-to-back seasons of taking a club to the Champions League finals, so
go him.
Bad him. But yeah, what do you think about Tuchel?
So far, I've actually quite liked him. I liked that he took his time at the beginning, and it still worked out. We were still winning. We wasn't losing, but took the time at the beginning to really feel out all the players and give everybody a chance and be like, yeah, you're in the squad, so have your run. Prove that you can handle it. Even Kepa Azpilicueta, gave him a chance back in goal to show like, can you handle the pressure? Have you learnt from your early season mistakes? Like, where are we at? So I thought it was all very good, and he's kept everybody fresh and managed to keep the run going and keep us in the hunt. So I mean, it's been good. I mean, I was a bit sad, to be frank. Sort of, I thought he might have perhaps deserved to get the season and then review at the end, but
he's had some sensational games, right? He won 2-1 against City, won 2-0 against Real Madrid, the draw against Real Madrid as well. But that loss to Arsenal and then that loss to Leicester, it feels like iffy. Is that fair? It was like they should have beaten Arsenal.
I mean, they should have beaten Arsenal, but at the same time, I mean, I know Arsenal's last few seasons have been dreadful, but it's still Arsenal, so sometimes it just...
And you guys have also beaten City in the FA Cup, so you have had the wood on City this season.
So I'm not going to be too upset about losing the FA Cup and a few local derbies if we manage to secure Champions League for next year or win the Champions League this year. Like, it's
yes.
I'm not going to complain if we win Champions League for the second time.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Chelsea's still the only London club to win the Champions League, right? So you've always got that.
Still got that.
Over everyone else.
Guess who's the best London club? The one that's got the big trophy.
Pretty much. England already have the most number of different winners of the Champions League. I want to say there's 8 of them. But if City win, they would be up to 9. Spain has got the most number of champions full stop, and no doubt helped by 13 titles from Real Madrid and 5 from Barcelona, so there you go.
Yeah, that's just...
Yeah, England, like, obviously Liverpool are one of the Rolls-Royce franchises. They've got 5 titles, and Manchester United have 3, and Nottingham Forest have 2, so, you know, they're very close behind.
Yeah.
And with Chelsea and Aston Villa have 1 apiece. So they actually, no, beg your pardon, they've only got 5.
Just looking up by country. Yeah. So yeah, winning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5 unique champions. Yeah, 5 unique champions. But yeah, City would be the 6th should they win.
We're not too far behind Spain in total numbers. I mean, relatively speaking, Spain's 18 total trophies and England's 13. So
yeah, if Barcelona and Real Madrid get like more than a couple of seasons ban, you expect that gap to lessen.
On how many seasons the top 6
I would be honestly, I would be shocked if Real Madrid and Barcelona are not banned from the Champions League next season, and I would be shocked if Juve and AC Milan are not banned next season, because they're still in the Super League. As you said, with the others, they could do some finessing and go, there's a points thing, but even with that, maybe Chelsea or City, whoever win, will get a spot just for winning, and if Manchester United win the Europa League, they might get a spot for winning. But because UEFA hasn't punished them, the leagues have punished them, so they're two separate things.
It could be interesting to see how they push those together. So I'm with you. I'd be very surprised if the clubs still in the Super League don't get bans, because it seems
there is an appetite in the Premiership to punish the 6. So I feel like that's going to happen. Like Spain, they might not punish those 2 clubs and the 3 clubs that broke away. So Atletico will probably be there next season. But I feel like UEFA is going to say no to Real and Barca, and they're going to say no to Juve and AC Milan. In which case, I don't think Italy wanted to punish the clubs either, but they might punish Inter. Let me be clear. I think Juve and AC Milan would be hurt financially by not being in the Champions League, and so would Real Madrid and Barcelona, because they're in dire financial straits at the moment. But I think Inter's owners are rich enough that he could wear it for a season, and I think that would be it, a season. They'd get a point deduction this season, and that's it. They'd be back in Europe next season. And England, you would get the thing. And who wouldn't mind? Who wouldn't love having another Leicester winning the championship again?
That would gladden the heart a little bit from the severe heartache of Chelsea being deducted points and all the rest. But having Leicester as champions again, even in such circumstances, that would gladden most people, I think.
Back-to-back asterisk championships. But yeah, Leicester, and then West Ham 2nd, and Everton 3rd, and Leeds 4th. That would be the standings if that were to happen.
I guess a little bit depends on whether they get UEFA banned or whether how many points deducted they get done. But
I feel like if they're getting points deductions, they're getting enough points deductions so they're not in Europe next season. So I'm thinking like 20 points and stuff like that. Does 20 points get Arsenal relegated? Like, let me just quickly check that.
To be fair, 20 points doesn't get City out of the top.
That's true. 20 points does get Arsenal relegated.
Does it? 35. No, it doesn't.
Oh, no, sorry, 35. You're right, too. No, it doesn't get them relegated.
They need 30 points to get them relegated.
So, but it could be 30 points.
Well, they need 30 points. Was that 53 for Man City? Or are we down to Leeds? They need 30 points.
30 points and 30 goals, because each point deduction would be a goal deduction.
They need 30 points to get City down below Leeds, if that's what they were doing. So, that's enough to relegate Arsenal.
That is enough to relegate Arsenal.
And that would keep Fulham up. And therefore your prediction of the Great Escape would be true.
Yes, please let this happen.
Oh no.
That would be the most hilarious outcome
I am
ever.
now looking forward to work tomorrow, so I can go talk to the Arsenal fans and say that's going to happen. See their reaction. Oh, that's going to be funny. That's probably actually a reason why it won't be that severe.
Because you can't give them a tiered points deduction. That
They
would
all
be
have to
unfair,
get the same.
right? Because if you're giving them a tiered points deduction, then Liverpool, Manchester United should get the most points deducted because they are, and Arsenal because they're clearly the ringleaders. So either way, Arsenal should be relegated because it's not fair to deduct less points from Arsenal than from City.
This may actually be the reason why in the end they don't get points deducted, but the FA may kick it back to the UEFA to deal out the punishments and be like, just ban them for a season. We won't deduct the points. We'll just leave the standings as they are. And
I think they might be okay with deducting the points because, like I said, the rest of the 14 did want, and it's only Arsenal that are going to leave the league to the Championship. Everybody else would still stay. So, sure, Arsenal are a mega club, and in terms of fan numbers and generating revenue, blah blah blah. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely agree.
So they deduct the points, but set a rule saying that Arsenal can't be relegated this season having points deducted this season doesn't get you relegated. So therefore, even though Arsenal ends up lower points than Fulham and West Brom, they don't actually get relegated.
That
won't fly either. But I'm just thinking, like, the fact that they have to deduct enough points to get means Arsenal gets relegated, and I feel that Arsenal's too big a club for that.
Arsenal are one of the ringleaders. Like, Stan Kroenke is one of the ringleaders. So it's not like this is City or Chelsea getting relegated.
You do make a good point on that as well. I was thinking, like, Arsenal seems too big to have that fly of points deducted gets them relegated down to the Championship like that.
What might happen is they all take the points deduction. Arsenal goes to court and gets it reversed. And all the others go, now we take our punishment. But they've all said that they would take their punishment. So Arsenal can't even go to court in this scenario.
But I guess they say that, and then if it comes out, they'll argue that it's too much. Maybe they'll get their points argued to 20-point deduction or something.
It's sort of moot because Arsenal will probably just gain enough points that they'll finish 17th. And Fulham and West Brom are probably going to lose all their games. So they're not going to probably be relegated. I think they are waiting for the final standings. If they can deduct 30 points from Arsenal and not have them relegated,
come on, Fulham.
They'll let that fly.
Win one game.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
I'm sure that's
because they could at least go, oh look, it's a one club in, one club out from London. It's fine.
Because who does Arsenal have again? How many points can they pick up in their last two?
Who do Arsenal have again? That is a good question. Let me quickly look at their schedule. You have Crystal Palace and you have Brighton and Hove Albion. So that should probably be 6 points.
And they have been playing well at the end of the season, so.
Oh yeah, that's probably.
So we can give them to 61.
So they want
that would give them 31 total if they get it. Yeah. So Fulham needs to win both their games. Because a win and a draw would give them 30.
They need to beat Manchester United and also beat.
Not
impossible. Who knows? Maybe they'll have somebody tell them, hey, maybe there will be points deductions. Who knows?
Or West Brom. West Brom as well. Who do they have? Well, West Brom's perhaps more likely. They've got West Ham at home and then Leeds away.
As you mentioned, 20 points is enough for City to still finish in the top 4. Or finish in a European spot. If they decide to let clubs who win their European trophy still compete, and City just finish in a Europa League spot, they'll be like, yeah, fine. We just give everybody 20-point deductions. So that would basically really only punish Chelsea, Spurs, and Liverpool. And Manchester United, if they win the Europa League, they're not punished. But they have to win the Europa League at that point.
Maybe that's how they do it. Or maybe also 20 points per set doesn't kick City out, just strips them of their title. But go and then maybe see if Chelsea wins the Champions League so they're back in. So that way, City and Chelsea don't really have the punishment whilst getting the punishment, and get a little bit softer because they were not seen as the ringleaders. They're the ones, but also sort of the ringleaders to make it fall by pulling out first. So maybe that's the other way around. They do it. They wait to see how they all fall out, and then just deduct the appropriate amount of points so that.
I mean, there is a big thing. The fans want this to happen. Want them to have their points deducted.
Yeah.
So I think the fairest one is the 30-point deduction. Just means everybody's out of Europe, and if UEFA just goes, look, because they've given you points deductions, we will ban you from Europe for a season, just because you get to keep your trophy if you won, but you're not allowed to defend your trophies, etc., etc. Which is also like there is precedent for that.
Yeah.
So that would be fine, but they would probably tell clubs, like, if they were doing that to the English clubs, they would probably tell everybody else the same. Like, they'd just go, yep, Atletico, even if you've not had points deducted, you're not allowed back next season. That's a minimum, and like probably tell the 4 that are still there, like, yeah, you're not allowed for 3 seasons.
That
or something like that, because they know it's going to be argued with in court, and it'll come down to maybe 2 seasons in the end. When they go to the CAS or something like that.
That does seem like a much more UEFA way of doing it, which is to let the points go in, say, look, the points have been deducted, and allow the FAs to put in whatever points deducted they need just to ensure some sort of punishment, but not, completely destroy everyone and be like, okay, and you're also banned for you. So you can't play next year, no matter where you end up.
I think the whole 30-point deduction and just having a whole new group of clubs get the European Champions League money is an appropriate punishment and an appropriate reward for the clubs who stayed.
I mean, even they could do just a 20-point ban and say 20-point deduction and say you're banned, so you can't fill the slots, so the next 4 top fill it, and they get the same output as a 30-point ban without any risk of upsetting Arsenal by getting them relegated because of points deductions.
I'm assuming in this scenario that Arsenal wouldn't get relegated because of the go ahead and points thing, because that's what I'm assuming they're waiting on. The reason why you're giving them a 30-point deduction is they don't get the prize money. So they go all the way to the bottom, enough to the bottom that they don't get the prize money, but they're not relegated.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Think, if they're out of the top 10, they don't get that top 10.
Yeah, 20 points for Arsenal's enough to do that. I mean, you're not going to get Man City out of there, or really out of Chelsea.
Without giving them 30. Even with 30 points, they're probably not out of there.
So that would be 53 points with 2 games. So that would be 10th.
Yeah.
So they just have to win one of their games. 30 points doesn't drop City out of the top 10, no matter what, pretty much. So.
Sure. But as we've established, I'm a bit more lenient towards City and Chelsea.
So it's making me think perhaps the 20-point deduction plus a year ban from UEFA. So there's like a 1-2 combination. FA step in with the points deduction, UEFA comes in with their.
Technically, with a 30-point deduction, if they're also given like the goals deducted from their thing, like 30 goals deducted from their goal difference, there is a potential that Liverpool could also get relegated.
30. Well, only just, though. That really is Fulham winning both their games, though. And Liverpool winning none.
By a lot. Don't get me wrong, by a lot. Like, we're talking 14 goals.
It was it. Well, you're taking 30, so that takes down to 33. So Fulham... by a lot. By, like, 50 goals. Because Fulham would have to overcome their minus 24.
No, so Liverpool would also be penalised 30 goals, so they would be on negative. So -9 versus 24, like, basically Fulham would have to... And Liverpool would have to lose all their games. Or Liverpool lose really badly and Fulham win really well. Look, Manchester United would happily concede goals to Fulham to get Liverpool relegated.
This could turn into like the worst thing, like this thing, like, and then it's like, wait, so if we just let Fulham win 15-0, Liverpool get relegated. All right, where's the youth team? No more youth. Out you go. Manchester United players just lose, don't do anything.
And on that same regard, Spurs could get relegated. They'd be on 29 points.
Oh yeah. Oh dear. That, to be fair, only one of those three teams, could get relegated, I think. Oh no, West Brom, I suppose. Two of them could be, but West Brom could get to 32 points.
Yes. Which would be incredible.
Oh dear. That would be the funniest end to the season that we possibly could have, given how the start was. It would make this season one of the weirdest seasons.
Yes, but
hilarious.
Hilarious.
And well worth it.
I guess that's all we have time for. Thanks for listening, and look forward to hearing from you next time.
Yes, catch you next time.